Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Gwen Roth and I work for the Hamilton County Soil and Water Conservation District. And I want to welcome you to our first ever virtual Greater Cincinnati Environmental Educators Ultimate Educator Expo. We've got exciting breakout sessions for you today. At 3:30, we will have the Design Lab from the Architectural Foundation of Cincinnati. And then at 4:15, we have National Geographic doing a breakout session for us. So you can visit the Greater Cincinnati Environmental Educators website at any time at www.gce-ee.org to find out all about us and what we do. Just a few housekeeping reminders. If you have a question for any of the presenters, please type it in the Q&A. I will be monitoring those questions and I will ask presenters those questions towards the end of their sessions. We're also recording all of these sessions all this week, and a copy of that will appear on our website within 2 weeks of the end of the Expo. So without further ado, before we get into too much of everything, I would like to introduce Wade and Emily from the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Gardens with one of our fabulous animal encounter friends. How are you guys doing?
Good. How's everyone doing this afternoon?
Wonderful. Wade, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So my name is Wade. I am an AmeriCorps member here at the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Gardens. And right next to me, I am joined by one of our amazing animal ambassadors. Her name is Roberta. She is a red-footed tortoise. And right off the bat, I like to tell people she's just as old as me. We were both born in 1996. So that makes me feel old. But in tortoise terms, Roberta is still a youngster. They can typically live in the wild in that 50 to 60 year range, but in zoos, we can easily see her get well older than that range. And hopefully I can live to that past that range as well. And we are moving right along, but of course she is a tortoise. She does so very, very slowly, because of course she's carrying her home right on her back. I think Roberta just made a few vocalizations. So this species of tortoise does vocalize quite a bit. Typically during breeding season, you can hear a lot of vocalizations. I personally think it sounds like a chicken cluck, which brings a smile to my face every time I hear that. How I mentioned earlier, her name is Roberta, and she is a female, but we do have a male counterpart, and his name is Robert. So the names are can get mixed up, but they look pretty different. So, and the males do get a little bit larger, and they do have very, very characteristic markings that are just unique to the individual. And as I am touching our red-footed tortoise friend, she can feel every single touch on her shell. And specifically, this is her, what we call the carapace. And the shell underneath is called the plastron. So this shell is actually infused with her backbone and lungs. So every touch, she's able to feel. And every once in a while, you can get that really nice, soft, sweet spot that she loves to get rubbed. And then once I find that spot, you can actually see her perk up and really enjoy it. So in the wild, this species is considered an omnivore. So an omnivore means just an animal that eats pretty much anything. I know I pretty much eat anything but vegetables, but that's beside the point. So Roberta in the wild would eat roughly about any fruits that she might come across in South America, and occasionally an invertebrate here and there. Here at the zoo, she does receive a tortoise pellet and a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. Typically, turtles are the individuals that are more of the omnivore variety, while tortoises mainly stick to eating fruits and vegetables, but it's pretty unique for this species. And now I have a question for everyone out there. So I did mention turtles and tortoises. Does anybody know the difference between a turtle and a tortoise? If so, you can put that in the chat, and I would love to hear your guesses. So this is a South American species. So because this is a rather large species, they can get up to 2 feet long, weighing up to 60 pounds. Roberta here is not up to that size. She is roughly about, I would say based on picking her up, I would say about 25 pounds. So she's still a pretty heavy animal. As you can characterize, she does have those red markings across her legs, giving her that name, Red-Footed Tortoise. So the name is not a lie.
Did we have any guesses from anybody in that chat box about the difference between a turtle and a tortoise? Can you read any of those guesses? Did anybody have a guess?
So a couple of people said the size of the animal.
That is a great suggestion, but the largest tortoise species is the Galapagos tortoise. It can well exceed that 500-pound range, and the largest sea turtle species is the, I'm blanking on the name. Does anybody know what I mean?
Leatherback?
It is the leatherback, thank you. The leatherback tortoise can get the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. So that
Wow, we had one other guess here there, where they live. And one person said they thought tortoises lived on land, but turtles are both land and water.
That is amazing. So the main difference is that tortoises are animals that typically are terrestrial, live on land, and turtles are individuals that typically are aquatic. And then you have the terrapins who just kind of float back and forth from being terrestrial and aquatic. There's actually a native Ohio species, the eastern box turtle, whose turtle would normally indicate that it's an individual that likes to hang in the water, but it's actually an animal that loves to hang out on land. So our Ohio neighbor does not abide by the rules. And it looks like our friend Roberta is making her way downtown walking fast. So like how I mentioned earlier, this species is quite vocal, especially during breeding seasons. And this species can actually tell the difference of one another based on the calls and actually the unique patterns and formations on their head. So these tortoises will actually head bob to communicate. And unlike a lot of turtles and tortoises, this species can actually be seen living amongst one another, which is pretty uncommon. Most turtles and tortoises are pretty solitary creatures, but they do not have a community essence, so to speak. They just kind of like have a similar home and they just all pile in, just pretty much having roommates in a studio apartment.
Were there any questions?
So Wade, we've had a couple people join since you started. So if you could reintroduce Roberta for us and then tell us a little bit about her natural habitat.
Absolutely. So this is Roberta. Roberta is a red-footed tortoise. She was born in 1996 and she's been here at our zoo since the year 2000. This species is native to Central and South America. So it is pretty common in that subtropical environment. And because they live in that subtropical environment, they have adapted to eat a wide variety of plants and fruit species. Is there any other questions that we have in the chat? Is there any burning questions about our tortoise friends?
So there's actually two. One of them was a comment about the tortoise turtle question you asked about earlier. And one person said that tortoises have dome shells and turtles seem more streamlined and flat. And they also have web feet for swimming.
Absolutely. It's just a physical adaptation for their environments. That is absolutely correct.
And we have one other question that popped up. Can Roberta see in different colors?
She can. Well, we do here at the zoo what we call enrichment. It's just to stimulate the minds of our animal ambassadors and all of our animals here at the zoo to promote natural behaviors. So there is a program of an enrichment item called a tortoise. That's a tongue twister right there. A tortoise twister. So we actually have some of her food that is placed underneath colored cones, and our friend can actually locate the food based on the colors underneath of the cones and the food underneath the cones. So she can absolutely see in color. Great question. Is there any additional questions?
So another question we've had that's come up a lot this week is the red-footed tortoise on the endangered or watch list at all?
So currently it is not. It is a population that has not been studied extensively, but there are threats, of course, because this species does inhabit the Amazon, and right now the Amazon is experiencing extreme amounts of deforestation, unfortunately, and there is human predation. There is some factual evidence of some cultures, especially during Lent season, that will actually consume tortoise meat, and specifically red tortoise meat. So there are some threats to the red-footed tortoise population. But currently, the population is not well studied and not well understood at this time.
So last question we have for you, Wade. Do you have any special stories that you want to share about personal experiences with Roberta?
Oh, absolutely. So one of my favorite stories is that here at the zoo, we do have what we call the buddy system. So we do have a bunkmate system here at the zoo in our education department. So Roberta does live with a fellow tortoise, but it's not of the same species. So she lives with a radiated tortoise, and that tortoise name is Tater. And a different department here at the zoo, the interpretive department, houses Robert, the male counterpart to Roberta, and the male versions of Tater, who is a female. So here in education, we have all the females, and interpretive, they have all the males. So with Robert and Roberta, I do have an interesting story about Robert, though. So with Robert and one of his bunkmates too, because they do have the buddy system there is an outdoor habitat. They do venture out when the weather is nice and warm. And because they are both males, we have seen Robert try to display some mating behaviors with his male counterpart of a radiated tortoise. So he does make those really loud chicken clucks and the head bobs, which I think always brings a smile on my face, frankly. Yeah. They are pretty amazing animals. And it's a true pleasure to work with these amazing creatures every day.
Well, Wade, and I'm guessing that's Emily who's working behind the camera today. Is that Emily you got back there?
Yep, that's me.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank both of you so very much for introducing us to Roberta, and all of you attendees. Stick around till 4 o'clock and we'll have another animal encounter from the zoo. So thank you so much, Wade and Emily.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Take care.
Thank you. So I want to welcome everybody to the 22nd Greater Cincinnati Environmental Educators Ultimate Educator Expo. This is the first ever we've done this virtually, just like this is the first ever virtual teaching a lot of you have done. But we are so excited about this new format. All of our member information can be found on our GCEE website. You can go to www.gc-ee.org. We have over 30 member organizations, and they have virtual programs and field trips and activities and grants and all kinds of information available on that website. A few housekeeping reminders. If you have any questions for our presenters, please put that in the Q&A. I will be monitoring that, and I will ask presenters those questions as we go through. Also, we're recording this session, so you can have a copy of this or any other session we've done this week. It will appear on that GCEE website within 2 weeks. Towards the end of this session, we will be giving out a door prize. We will call out a name, and you must be present to win. If there's any handouts from any sessions at all this week, those are also available on the GCEE website. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Kristen from the Design Lab. So Kristen, take it away.
Hey guys, how's everyone doing today? I don't know how we are going to follow up on Roberta. Emily and I actually both used to work with Roberta, so we were watching the video thinking, oh, we wish we were there too.
We miss her.
Yes. As I'm sure you guys miss some of your students, and we're all kind of missing different people. So like Gwen said, my name is Kristen Lovers. I'm the Executive Director of the Architectural Foundation of Cincinnati. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Emily. I'm an admin here at the AFC.
So we're also supposed to have one of our volunteers here with us. I'm not sure if he's having technical difficulties logging in, but we wanted to show you guys a video to just kind of introduce the organization. And it looks like Paul's on right now. So as soon as we're done with the video, we will have him introduce himself. And I'm just gonna go ahead and dig right into this video so that you guys can see what our organization's about and a brief review of Design Lab before we really kind of dive into the program. All right, so I gotta share my screen, gotta figure out how to do the sharing screen again. All right, so there. All right, I hope everybody can see it.
Hey guys, my name is Kristen Love. I'm the Executive Director of the Architectural Foundation of Cincinnati. Our mission is to help people understand and appreciate the built environment, from what goes into bringing the walls up to what's happening when construction workers are blocking your way home. I know some of us are inconvenienced by it sometimes, but it's also what builds our city, and we need to have a great appreciation for it. Cincinnati also has such a great variety of styles of architecture. There are a lot of historically significant buildings in this area, and we really hope to bring light and appreciation to what Cincinnati has to offer in our built environment. We accomplish this through a variety of programming that we offer the community. One of the things we do is construction tours, which is why you guys are here today. We also do this with programs like Seek Cincy, which is a citywide scavenger hunt that you can take part in at the beginning of October. We also have an app called the Educator. You can download it on your phone for free. It's going to help you understand a little bit more about the history of the buildings downtown. It's a great resource to have right in your pocket, right in your hand as you're walking around downtown. The biggest program that we do is called Design Lab. We work with 50 schools in the tri-state area, just like the one behind me. The first half of the program teaches students the fundamentals of architecture, design, how to finance projects like this, and then the actual building process that goes into building them up. And then the second half of the program, they get to show off what they've learned, and they go ahead and build us a model. Design Lab is a free program. It's offered to anyone that wants to sign their classroom up. Teachers will be the ones that sign the class up and orchestrate it. Then we match you with a volunteer. Due to COVID this year, and for this year only, we're gonna let individual students sign up. Because of all the online learning, we didn't want to leave anyone out. So if you want information on how to sign up, all of that information is on our website. Now I'm gonna pass it over to Maya and Jake, who are gonna.
All right, so I hope you guys learned a little bit about the AFC. It looks like Paul did join us. Paul, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. I am Paul Shirley. I'm an architect, one of the several volunteers that we get throughout the year. We have, I think, around 30 or 40 volunteers overall in total, or we might have more than that. I don't have Kristen has the exact number, but I'm just one of many in the cog of getting out there and into the classroom and helping out. I've been an architect for about 38 years now, and I am just in love with this program. I have so much fun coming into the classrooms and meeting with the kids.
Awesome. Yeah, so Paul has underestimated the growth of our program just a little bit. We actually have about 100 volunteers that work with us every year, but Paul is a bit of a special one because he's also on our design lab board, and he helps us build the program and figure out how we're going to grow and how we're going to do things like pivot. So before we move on, we did want to poll you guys. We want to see if you guys are having trouble incorporating hands-on learning into your classroom this year. So it doesn't look like that's our poll. So while she's getting the other one ready, maybe we'll see. We're thinking that a lot of teachers might, and just educators in general, might be having a hard time incorporating hands-on learning. So let us know what you guys think. Are you guys having trouble? We'll give you a second to answer that. Let's see how long. I don't know how long it takes to get this information back. Well, while we're waiting, I guess we should just talk a little bit about Design Lab. So you probably saw a little bit of it in the video. Okay, yes, we have 100% say yes. It looks like one person said no, so that whoever said that, you are so lucky. Yeah. But what I will say is that we have been hearing a lot of our teachers that work with us usually say that as well. So we work with around 60 teachers a year, and a lot of them are having a really hard time. So just to give you a little bit of a background on how Design Lab, usually, as you saw that in the video, now last year, so we went through the 8 weeks where kids are learning all of the background info. In all 8 weeks, all these kids are saying is, we want to build, we want to build. We know what site where we're gonna build, we know what client we're gonna build for, and all we want to do is just start building. So for 8 weeks, we tell them, you have to learn the basics and then you can build. And last year, that 8 weeks hit about the week that schools were told they couldn't go in anymore. So unfortunately, a lot of the students were left with, we don't know if we're going to be able to build. And they were so excited about everything that they were doing. And we thought, we can't end this now. That would be so sad. So we sat in the office and said, what can we do? How can we make this work? And we brought some great minds together, and we decided that we were going to bring it virtually. So some students submitted things that they did virtually. So some of them built their models on Minecraft or different programs that they could use. And then some students brought everything home that they had learned, and they did it on their own in their basement, or we had somebody submit one that they had done in the woods, which was really cool. They did it out of things that they found in the woods too. They made this really cute little house for fairies. Yeah, so super cute. They just got so creative and came up with some great ideas. And Emily has compiled a lot of the feedback that we got from pivoting and changing it up a little bit. So do you want to share some of that feedback that we got?
Yeah, sure. So just piggybacking off of some of the things that Kristen had shared, each year in Design Lab, we give students and classrooms and teachers a certain theme, and that's what they learn about for the semester, and then it culminates by the end of the semester. They present their project. So this year's theme was dwellings. So just like Kristen said, right when the kids started to build in their classrooms is when schools went virtually. So just like everybody in the education world, we pivoted as well. We knew that it was really important to still give kids this creative outlet during this really weird and stressful time. So we definitely wanted to continue the program just in a different format. Some of the feedback that we got after the conclusion of Design Lab 2020, after the kids had built their dwellings at home using any recycled materials that they had, we were really humbled and really happy with the results of this. So one parent said that, I certainly did not think we'd have a winner using our recycled plastic lids and fabric scraps, but more importantly, it was the highlight of our time together, and the practical applications of math and design were amazing. That's something that teachers really love about our program, is that it really incorporates a lot of different subjects. Some kids decided to create dwellings that connected to literature or their favorite books, or maybe a book that they had read in class. We had a lot of kids who made dwellings for a character from one of their favorite stories. And of course, there's a lot of math skills that can be incorporated in building, like measuring and things like that. So that's definitely a big thing that teachers appreciate about Design Lab. One family shared how it was such a big boost of confidence for their child. They said, "We want to thank you on behalf of our whole family for the opportunity to participate in this event. We wish you could have seen his excitement when he watched your video on Facebook last Friday." We had a virtual fun Facebook announcement for the kids. "We were a little surprised when he originally asked to enter the competition, and being recognized for all his hard work gave him a much needed boost of confidence." So we loved that review. And we've had teachers share similar sentiments as well, that sometimes it's the kids in their classrooms that maybe don't always excel in reading, but they really, really get into the creative and building aspect and really thrive when they're working on their Design Lab project. And one more from a parent/teacher. She said, "It was a wonderful opportunity to encourage creativity in truly a time of limited resources and accessibility. Thank you as a parent and a teacher." So we were so happy with those results, and it really kind of pumped us up to make this a possible program for this weird new world of education.
So Emily and I actually hand delivered all of the awards to our award winners, because we had been missing the interaction that we got with the students, and we kind of wanted to see them and just kind of hear from them. So we put our masks on and we walked up to their tour, and a lot of the kids were waiting for us, and they were so excited to tell us about their project and tell us everything that had gone into it. And some of the parents were like, thank you for giving them something to do. So we had a lot of people that were really grateful. So to move into a little bit more about what the program can do for your students, or your maybe your kids even. So we wanted to roll into the second poll. I think some of you guys already did it, but the second poll is, how confident are you that you could show us the difference between tension and compression? When can we get that poll back up? Or did I do something? There we go. There it is. All right, so it looks like a lot of you guys answered it already. It's about half and a half, 50-50. So one of the things that kids learn about is this concept, compression and tension, and they will be very excited to show you how they can do it. So Paul, do you want to be our one-man tension compression model?
I am so stressed right now. I'm full of tension. It's so nerve-wracking right now. So if I can share my screen real quick. And I want to share, so are you seeing my second screen now?
Yes,
I see it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one of the great resources that we have to give both to the volunteers and to the teachers is a manual each year, and it goes through what the program is. And in it, we have a bunch of suggestions or opportunities for you to do some lessons and whatnot in the class. And one of them is doing tension. And so let me go back to stop sharing. I want to stop sharing. Stop share. There we go. And so what I have here, just some rubber bands, and usually we do this activity with the kids, but you know, we've got to modify things. So that's the great thing about these lessons, is that they can be easily adaptable to what you're planning to do in the class. And your volunteer can even work with you to give you a little primer on what the main points are if you're not comfortable with it. But like for expressing tension, obviously with the rubber band, you pull and that is tension. And then what's happening in your fingers, the rubber band is pushing against your fingers, and that's the compression that you'll be feeling. And the reason that this is kind of relevant to buildings is because obviously buildings stand up. We need walls to hold them up. We need structure in the floor. And we have different building types to kind of help illustrate that. And one of them that I have right here is a tensile structure. So what happens is I have these poles that are basically in compression because the force is going down, while with the netting I can pull it in tension, and I pull these two ends, they're in tension, but the other part of the netting is in compression and it's not going anywhere, so it's stretching. And so, you know, kind of running through this example with the kids in a little bit more detail gets them kind of a little bit of an understanding of tension and compression, gets them a little bit of understanding what holds up buildings, and basically the importance of having a structure that stands and doesn't fall down. That's a little bit about tension and compression.
Paul, do you want to talk a little bit more about how easy it is to bring Design Lab into different disciplines?
This is what I was blown away with a couple years ago. I used to think of Design Lab as just being for art classes, where the materials were and the teacher just needed a break, you know, like give me something big to work on for the next couple of months. But when a teacher from another school district came in, and she was an English teacher, and she took the book that they were working on for the couple of weeks, she had the characters of the books. She had all the students pick out one of the characters, and that was their client. And so they had to learn about that character in the book, and then think about what that character would want in their house, and design a house for that particular character. And the product that we got out of them was just incredible, because of, you know, things such as working with tensile structures or sustainable building is so important. The class can easily be a mathematical class, or it can easily be a physics or science class where you can integrate some of the learning, some of the lessons that we have here, and apply them to each and every project. Every year we come up with a different theme. It's easy to adapt characters in a book to designing zoo exhibits for animals. I mean, it's just, the opportunities are endless, and there's been some really creative thinking out there with teachers and volunteers alike. So I can't say enough about the program. It's just really wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you. And thanks for making it wonderful without you two. I know when I started with the program, I decided that we were going to have animals as a client for every year as an option for students. And some of our volunteers were like, that's not right. And I was like, oh, it's happening. we're doing it. And a lot of the kids have loved being able to build for animals. But what a unique client. And it's a client that's real life for some architects. There are people out there that are building homes and building environments for animals to live in, and not just in zoos and aquariums, but sometimes in the wild as well. And that's one of the things that I've loved about Design Lab, is that it can kind of bridge different disciplines and kind of bridge like between science and art and get kids a real life. Okay, it brings these the disciplines to life for them. So I've really enjoyed that aspect of it, and that's one of the reasons I'm really proud to work on the program myself. To give you an idea of this year, so I talked a little bit earlier about how we pivoted for 2020, and I know in the video we spoke a little bit about 2021. So the way the program is going to work this year, since we can't bring volunteers into classrooms, probably not anyway, or not in person, we're planning on bringing them in virtually. But it doesn't make sense to have them teaching the entire time virtually. Just logistically, we didn't feel like that made sense. And we wanted to give individual students an ability to do the program as well. So the way that we decided to conquer that challenge was to create videos that would introduce the first 8 weeks. We condensed to 4 different videos. So we're creating those videos now, and the videos will explain all of the introductory concepts to the students. And then once they're done with that, then they're going to start creating or figuring out their site and client and working with their volunteers virtually on that. So the volunteer will call in. Paul actually has some experience with doing this, which is why we brought him to chat with you guys today. So Paul, did you want to show a little bit about what you were excited and what opportunities this challenge presented with the idea of presenting virtually?
Yes, I do want to do that. So like I said, we have the manual over here, and there's lots of great information in here. I'm not going to spend any time on that. Any more time on it. What I do want to go on is how we kind of like run through things with them. And so what we really want them to do is come up with plans, sections, elevations in the first part, the design part and the design. And then the next month they actually get to do the build, and that's the fun part. What I have before you are just some examples of what I can show them and how I show them, and you know, I do a house and then I say, you know, like, here's a plan, but they don't really understand that yet because it's not really in a plan, it's still in an isometric form. And I start to whittle it around and turn it around, and now when I'm looking straight down on top of the image, that's the plan. And then the kids start to get that, like, okay, I start to understand what a plan is. And we also talk about spatial relationships. Yeah, it's funny, some of the kids come in and they just have like a 2 foot by 2 foot space, and they say, this is my gym, and then I've got a bathroom, and the gym and the bathroom are the same size. You know, we tell them, you know, we work with them on working with spatial relationships and getting things down to a little bit more of a uniform scale and whatnot. Kindergartners, 3rd graders, that concept's way beyond them. So we just let them have fun with it. It's a great program for them, and their creativity is just off the charts. When we get into the 4th and 5th grades, that's when they start to get it, and definitely in the 7th and 8th grade, they really start to understand spatial relationships, and we really push it with them. So, you know, I talk about the plans, we talk about elevations and what they look like, and how we come about getting them. And I'm just showing you some 2D images here. I don't have the other one queued up, which is I use SketchUp or Revit. SketchUp is pretty common, and you guys can use it in the classrooms too. It's pretty easy to use and learn. But when you build things three-dimensionally in the SketchUp program, kids really get it. And they start to look at things kind of holistically, not just like focused on, well, you know, inside the building is my gym or is my pool, or you've got to have the slide from the second floor all the way down to the first floor. So the kids really start to understand things when they start to see it three-dimensionally, and it takes a little bit of time to get there, and it's going to be difficult to do it over virtual as opposed to being in the classroom. But we're already starting to work on how we can, what strategies we can do. And this is the other great thing about this program. Oh, so excited about it. I am not the only volunteer here, right? We've got 100 volunteers. Well, we actually have mentors for each of those volunteers. So no volunteer is out there just hanging by themselves. If somebody needs help, others step in and help out. We really are there to serve you and help get a point across, but we're also there to expose the kids to architecture. And if we start to lose them at any point, the volunteers start to say, hey, I'm losing the class, I'm losing interest, you know, what can I do to jazz it up? And we're right there to help them out. So we've got a great support network. We've got a great bunch of material resources pulled together. And we've got a heck of a great leader in Kristen and Emily. So that's my excitement, and I think we're out of time.
Thanks, Paul. I think, yeah, the other day in the office, I was asking him, you know, when you did this virtually, what did you do? How was it different? And one of the things he was really excited about, he was like, I can show them where I work. I can show them my space. I can screen share and show them the projects I'm working on. So I think it's so much fun. I think there are a lot of opportunities this year that we haven't had previously that we're really excited about. We're really excited to try some of those out, and who knows what 2022 will bring, but we're ready for 2021, and we're ready to pivot and make sure that we can serve you guys no matter what. So Glenn, was there any questions that came up, or were there any questions that came up?
So we did have a few questions that came up. Kristen, who can participate in this contest?
So we do sorry, we didn't say that. We do K through 8th grade. So, those are the grades that we work with currently. And if you're in high school, Glenn has a really great high school program she can share with you.
Thank you. And is there a regional limitation? Do they have to be Greater Cincinnati, or what's the region limit?
No, so typically the region is as far as we can find volunteers to go, and we work as far north as Dayton, and I think as far south as like Boone County. But this year, because it's all virtually, it's giving us a really cool opportunity, and we're letting anyone anywhere that wants to sign up. So we're excited to see what we get. And we had people in 2020, we decided to open it up in the same way once it became virtual. And we had people as far as Pennsylvania,
New Jersey,
and New Jersey sending in submissions. So it was really exciting to see the program kind of spread its wings a little bit.
Yes. And I will tell you, as a judge of some of those projects, they are just absolutely amazing. And I share all of Paul's excitement about getting kids excited about the built environment.
So do we, yeah. It's great.
Yes. Well, Kristen and Emily and Paul from Design Lab and the Architectural Foundation of Cincinnati, I want to thank you guys so much. You did an awesome presentation, and I hope you guys have a really great weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
Wait. I forget this every time. The door prize.
We got it, the door prize.
Every time I forget it. So if there is a Julie Cooley in our attendance list, if you will just put into the Q&A, hey, I'm here, this is me, because you do have to be present to win. You can either raise your hand or just put in the Q&A, hey, I'm here. And I think that just popped up. Yes, it is. So Julie, we will use your email that you signed on with today into the Zoom. We will get that to Kristen and Emily, and you will get your door prize from them, okay? So now,
Thank you
so much, Kristen and Emily and Paul.
Thank
Wonderful
you.
job. Thank you.
Thank you.